12 vehicles, one coordinated exit through a desert blind zone. In the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie from her Catalina Foothills home, the FBI has done something unexpected. They pulled out of Tucson and relocated their command center to Phoenix. To the public, it looks like a retreat. Inside the investigation, it looks like Phase 2. Antonio Pina Campos is in custody. Tommaso Cheion and Dominic Evans are under intense scrutiny. And a $6 million Bitcoin ransom trail is beginning to fracture. The question isn't whether Nancy was taken. The question is why federal agents are still quietly monitoring her home. The timeline is clinical. Nancy Guthrie disappears from her residence. No screams reported, no immediate alarm triggered, no obvious forced entry visible from the street. What investigators have are fragments. A Nest camera captures movement. Minutes later, her pacemaker stops syncing with her phone. After that, silence. For weeks, local authorities hit a wall. Then everything shifted. The FBI's move to Phoenix wasn't administrative. It was strategic. They stopped treating this as a local kidnapping. They started treating it as a coordinated cell operation. And the turning point came from a road most people overlook, North Camino Real. A residential ring camera captured something investigators nearly missed: 12 vehicles, moving in tight formation, disciplined, deliberate. More shortly after Nancy's pacemaker went dark. That isn't coincidence. That's choreography. Moving a convoy like that through a quiet neighborhood requires planning, rehearsal, structure. If handheld radios were used instead of cell phones, traditional geofence warrants would return nothing. No digital trail, no cellular pings, just vehicles moving like shadows. North Camino Real isn't random. It leads away from the original search perimeter established within the first hour. Whoever designed this operation didn't just know the house. They understood law enforcement response patterns. But the convoy is only part of the story. Earlier that same night, another camera, miles away, recorded a man attempting to force a residential gate. He wore a backpack with reflective striping. He struggled briefly, then disappeared. Later, a man with what appears to be the same reflective backpack appears on Nancy's porch. Was the earlier attempt a rehearsal? Or a calculated test to measure how quickly security systems triggered a response? Investigators now believe this individual was the primary physical operative. Then there's the desert footage. A remote camera captured a figure dragging something heavy across sand along an isolated road. If the convoy was the extraction, this could have been the transfer point. The sequence is precise. Gate attempt, porch appearance, coordinated exit. It reflects planning at a professional level. And then investigators uncovered something more disturbing. Days before Nancy vanished, a man was recorded scouting a nearby perimeter. Unmasked, he had a distinctive goatee and mustache. Authorities confirmed a strong physical similarity between that individual and the masked intruder seen later. For days, someone may have been studying the neighborhood's rhythm, testing camera blind spots, learning sleep patterns. This was not impulsive. It was methodical. The masked intruder also wore a belly band holster over his jacket, a specific and unusual way to carry a weapon. When you combine the reflective backpack, the facial hair match, and the holster detail, the profile narrows sharply. But one man cannot coordinate a 12-vehicle extraction alone. That's where Antonio Pina Campos enters the picture. Campos was recently arrested on unrelated charges. However, Wine's investigators discovered he had driven past the active crime scene more than 100 times after Nancy disappeared. When his phone was seized, authorities reportedly found multiple photos of Nancy Guthrie. Why would someone obsessively circle a crime scene with no official connection? In structured criminal operations, a spotter often returns to monitor police activity and assess investigative progress. Campos may not have been a bystander. He may have been observing the observers. Like the FBI's relocation to Phoenix now appears tactical. By moving their nerve center, they create distance from potential spotters. They create uncertainty, they create silence. And silence makes people nervous. The forensic phase yielded another critical piece. A discarded glove recovered near the area. It matched the type worn by the masked intruder. But when the DNA was entered into the national database, it returned nothing. No criminal record, no prior match. That meant investigators were dealing with someone without a documented past, so they shifted strategies. They moved to investigative genetic genealogy, the same advanced forensic approach once used to identify the Golden State Killer. Instead of searching for the suspect directly, they began searching for distant relatives in public ancestry databases. They aren't looking for him anymore. They're building a family tree that leads to him. That sources suggest they may be closer than anyone realizes. Meanwhile, attention has intensified around the long-standing connection between Tommaso Cheion and Dominic Evans. Investigators are examining their history together as more than coincidence. Evans reportedly fits the physical build of the intruder. His prior offenses involve burglary and robbery, skills consistent with rapid perimeter breaches. If Evans was the muscle, Cheion may have been the strategist. As a family connection, he allegedly possessed knowledge of the home's layout and vulnerabilities. Then there's the ransom, $6 million in Bitcoin. The wallet remains untouched, but the demand letters left a digital trace. Recently, a secondary figure emerged online, claiming knowledge of the kidnappers and requesting a smaller hush payment to remain silent. Is this a fourth member losing nerve, or a deliberate distraction meant to send investigators chasing shadows? Within the Guthrie family, hope has quietly shifted toward the pursuit of justice. The reward fund has increased, creating enormous pressure on anyone connected to the operation. In coordinated crimes, cracks often appear under financial strain. Someone talks, someone panics, someone makes a mistake. The FBI is no longer just building an arrest. They are building a case designed to withstand the highest federal penalties. The Guthrie home has been released. The forensic sweep is complete. Now they are waiting for one thing: a match. If the genealogy returns a name connected to the suspects under scrutiny, the operation collapses instantly. Warrants will follow, and the silence will end. Encrypted files from Campos's devices are still being decrypted by federal cyber specialists. Every image, every message, every metadata trace. The Bitcoin wallet is also under constant surveillance. If the funds move, they reveal a pathway. If they don't, the entire operation becomes a financial dead end. Either way, the pressure builds. The truth lies somewhere between a reflective backpack at a gate and a 12-vehicle convoy disappearing into the Arizona desert. The FBI is in Phoenix. The trap is set. And somewhere, someone is realizing they didn't get away with it. The investigation continues.